It's time for another edition of SIRE TV, Success in Real Estate, with your host, Robert Burke. Join Robert and his guests, some of the country's leading experts on real estate investing, as they show you how you can purchase properties tens of thousands of dollars below true market value. So whether you are looking for your personal dream house, a fantastic rental property, or you want to buy, fix up, and resell for profit, this is the show for you. Robert will also share his amazing networks of lenders who are loaning on real estate all across the country. Your financial success is just around the corner. And now, the host of the Success in Real Estate program, Robert Burke.
Welcome everybody to another exciting edition of SIRE TV. Glad that you're with us. Hope you've been following our shows and appreciate you being here. And I think that you're going to find it again very informative. We've got great guests this week. We're going to be talking about some really exciting things, some things about excuses and how you can succeed in real estate and things to watch out for and things to that are good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. We're going to be kind of talking about that this week. My first guest has been on our show several times. It's Kurt Carlton with Sherman Bridge. Welcome back to the show, Kurt.
Thanks. Glad to be on.
Glad to have you here. As always, you are our hard money lending expert. Sherman Bridge, based here in Texas. You guys are the real estate investor rehabber's best friend. Just tell us briefly, because we want to talk about some other things this week. We've talked about this, but your program and your mentality of working with investors.
Well, I mean, finance is one of the most important things. You can go learn how to do this, you can find properties, but if you don't have your financing set up properly, you know, it's a big piece of you're in trouble. It's a big piece of the puzzle. And I've been in that situation and I've been in trouble. That's why I started this business, because I knew there was a big need for it. So when you say we're the investor's best friend, we try to be. I mean, it's an important part, just like the contractor is the investor's best friend and the wholesaler, and we're just one piece of the whole puzzle.
You're a piece of the puzzle, I understand that, but you're a very important piece of the puzzle. You're being modest here, and you guys provide a service that really lenders are not, your normal conventional lenders are not there. You're helping a rehab or an investor. You understand their mentality. But the reason that you do is because you've been involved in not just hard money lending. And I want our audience to kind of get to know you a little bit better, because we've had you on the show several times. You're going to be on the show again and again because what you do and hard money lending is a big part of the show. It's a big part of the success of investors. People can go to the website. We have hard money lenders all across the country. If they send us a comment slip, you can go to the front page of the website. We're getting that done now, and where if you send in information to us, we can send you to a hard money lender that's in your area. But the reason I like you personally, it's a step beyond that. You've been doing this, not just the hard money lending, but you've been a real estate investor in the good and the bad. And I want you to kind of share with us, our audience, some of those experiences that you have, and let them know some of the things that you've done that worked and some of the things that you did that didn't, so maybe they can learn from your mistakes, if you don't mind. Share some of your experience with us.
Well, I've done this in the good, and then I did it in the bad, and now we're doing it in the good again, which is nice. But, I tell a story sometimes about my first deal that I ever did here in Texas, where there's a golf course down in Irving where a lot of the athletes live, cowboys and stuff like that. So there's some really nice houses down there. So we bought the smallest house in the area in this gated community, which was always the good thing. You get the smallest house in the area.
You never go buy the biggest, the most
never
expensive.
Buy the biggest.
Right, okay.
So everything was perfect with this deal. It was great. I didn't realize how foundation worked in Texas. I mean, and this property had some serious foundation problems. And the day we closed on it, it rained for 7 weeks. It just rained and rained. So you couldn't start the foundation, was the first thing. So it delayed everything. Then when we finally got in, we had all kinds of foundation problems. It was a pier and beam house, thankfully. We were picking the house up and dropping it. They go into there with the jacks and they'd pick it up and drop it, and they try to get it and they shimmy it and all that stuff. And every time they were dropping it, bricks were falling off the side of the house. I mean, this house, it looked like a cartoon house. The windows were just, it took forever, but we finally got it on track. It was just a nightmare deal. You talk about the bad of real estate, that was the bad. But it kind of became the good. I eventually finally sold it, and we made money on it. It was good, but I bought it with cash. And it was all of my cash, and all of my cash was tied up for 8 months while we were doing that project.
Now, don't you find, because I have, maybe, hopefully you'll agree with me here, that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've certainly made a lot of mistakes in real estate, but I've learned more from those mistakes than I ever did if things went well. I mean, it helped me really down the road. Did you find that from that experience?
That's where the bad becomes the good. I guess, I call stuff like that tuition. If you lose money on a real estate deal, I call it tuition. We don't do that very often, and I didn't lose money on that, but I expected to make a lot more. But what I learned from it is, the worst thing you can do is buy real estate with cash. And I tell people that all the time. And all my money was tied up for 8 months. So, you think about it. You don't have a paycheck for 8 months.
Nothing you could do. You're sitting there waiting for it to happen.
So what I did is I put all my eggs in one basket. There was no diversification. Had I financed the deal and had I had the knowledge to know that that's the way to do it, I would have had 3-4 projects running at a time.
Because if you had taken that money and you had 3 projects or 4 projects going and leveraged your money, which a hard money lender basically allows you to do, if you have one property that's slowing you down and maybe takes 8 months to close, you've got these other deals, hopefully that's not happening, that can kind of get you through those times.
Yeah, it's not just that. It just about broke me, that deal. If I would have had it for a year, I would have been, I probably would have got a part-time job delivering pizzas. But this was a long time ago. But if I don't even want to think, it makes me sick to my stomach, all the money I lost in that period of time because I had to pass on just great deals. And this was a long time ago in the bad where good deals were on every corner. It's not like now where
Gotta fight for them.
You gotta fight for them. They were everywhere.
And so the lesson there is, there's several lessons there. One is having all your money tied up and not being able to make any more money, do any more deals. And it's not just the fact that you had to wait so long to make money on that deal, but it actually costs you in other deals that you could have done.
There was a huge opportunity cost to doing it that way. I deal with, we've done, hundreds and hundreds of hard money loans. We'll probably do 70, 80 million this year in hard money loans all throughout Texas and other places. But I get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I get to see, we're in real estate, so I've got a lot of friends that are cash buyers too. Cash buyers, I don't know why you can never change their mind, those hard cash buyers. But
yeah, why is that?
I don't know if they had a parent or a grandparent that grew up in the Great Depression and he told them stories about how the ice truck came and there was no ice or something. I don't know. Yeah. They've got some block in there, but it's the worst thing you can do. And if you look at the cash guys, they all make $90,000, $100,000 a year. That's all they make. And they never increase their cash reserves and become more wealthy because they're living off of the money that they make. Where the guys that I see are successful, they're really good at 2 things. They understand financing and they understand management. And what I mean by that is they have multiple deals going at all times. And they spread their money around. That doesn't mean they over-leverage themselves and they put every dime they have into down payments on things. They actually do it a safer route where they put less money into it than they would with cash and do more deals. And if this one deal ends up being an 8-month deal and they make $1,000 at the end of the day, they've got 2 more that they made 30 grand on.
Yeah.
And the money's flowing in and it's...
Well, and I don't want to discourage anybody because, I've run across a lot of people who, just are happy doing one deal at a time. And they like working in cash, and nobody knows their business, and they don't have to talk to anybody. They just go out there and they're in their own little world. But to really make a lot of money, to really kind of, like we said, leverage that money and make more money, if you want to look at this as this business in that way, you gotta take advantage of the hard money lenders that are out there.
You have to. It's like building a skyscraper without a crane. You're not going to get you're going to get a couple floors built.
But it may look nice, but it could be a lot nicer.
Yeah, you use leverage, and that's what that is, and you spread. You start making money in real estate when you start tapping into an economy of scale. When you're managing one deal at a time, you'll never develop the management skills necessary to make money in real estate. Because you never have to. It's so easy to manage one project at a time. You never develop a system. You never develop the processes that are necessary to do 4 or 5 deals at a time. I've got an investor in Houston that averaged 16 deals a quarter last year. That's a lot of rehabs to be doing. 16 a quarter.
And even now he's probably financially said he could probably do a bunch of those on his own, or let's say 4 or 5. But then you look at the leveraging your money and you can do 16. It just makes sense.
He understands. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense not to do it that way. When Ross Perot builds, all the stuff in Victory Park and all these skyscrapers, do you think he's just using cash?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
do you think he's partnering with some lenders?
successful people leverage their money, and we say follow what successful people do, So again, hey, I appreciate you being on the show. Again, we do have hard money lenders like Sherman Bridge. You're kind of our spokesperson. You're kind of our guru with hard money lending. But go to the website, SIRETV.tv, and let us know where you are, and we'll let you know a hard money lender in your area. Kurt, again, great to have you on the show. Look forward to having you
Thanks for
again.
having me.
Don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back.
The SIRE TV program, brought to you in part by Appraisal Save, your half-price nationwide home appraisal service. Sherman Bridge, America's #1 rehab lender. National Real Estate Insurance Group, providing investors with the right coverage at the right time.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to thank Kurt Carlton from Sherman Bridge. He's always a great guest and great programs. Be sure to check out our website for our hard money lenders around the country, SIRETV.tv. These guys will be a tremendous asset to you in your business and growing your business. We've got two guests here also on the show who will be doing the same thing. And one of them is with us almost every week, Matthew Elmer from the Real Alliance, but he's brought his better half, his partner maybe, Rob Miles. Nice to meet you, Rob. Nice to have you on the show. And as always, good to have you here.
Yeah, good to be here again, Rob.
Well, so Rob is your partner. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, well, sorry. When I was
You okay?
yeah, got a little. There you go. When I was I was in that place where most of us get to, where we're searching for how to become real estate investors. And what happened was, I was online looking for stuff, couldn't find an answer, and there was a sign on the side of the road, and I called it, and it was a guy building a real estate investing team. And the guy that answered the phone was Rob, and he's really the guy that changed my life and took me from being a wannabe investor to being a legitimate investor, and now we're business partners.
That's great. Now, Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved first in real estate, and then how did you get to be involved in the Real Alliance?
Well, I first got involved in real estate out in Arizona. You see, that was 10 years ago? I was working with the University of Phoenix Online as an enrollment counselor, and my job was to help people get into degree programs and create a better life for themselves. Even though I loved my job, I wasn't enjoying the time I was spending away from my family working for the company, and I wasn't enjoying the pay either. And so I was at the time, Arizona, it was a hot market, and I realized if I wanted to enjoy time now, I had to do something different. And so I got involved in real estate there, and I acquired 4 properties even while I was working a full-time job. And I was able to liquidate all those properties and made pretty good income. In fact, I quadrupled my annual income there.
Wow.
And decided I needed to make this a full-time career, quit my job, and I moved my family to Texas because at the time, Texas was leading the nation in foreclosures. And I really wanted to hone in on a strategy that Matt is, I believe, one of the leading specialists in, short sales. So I came to Texas and I started working my self-employed real estate investing business. I was making some great income, but I quickly realized I was spending more time as a self-employed real estate investor than I was when I was working for University of Phoenix Online. But I justified it because I was making more money. Mm-hmm. And so a good mentor of mine said if I want to start enjoying my life as well as the income, I needed to develop a team. And that's when the principles of business ownership I really started to hone in on those and started to source people that had a strong desire, that were motivated, and really wanted to work in a team environment. And that's when I put out that sign, a real estate investor seeks apprentice sign out there, and Matt called off of it. Now the funny thing is it took me a month to call Matt back. Wow. Because he called in December, and every December I take my family back to Arizona and we enjoy family during Christmas. But when I called Matt back, he could answer every single question I asked about real estate. The only problem there is he hadn't done any deals. And so we brought him into our office, we spent some time with him, and I quickly realized that this individual had the potential to not only be an amazing business partner and friend, but also a potential leader in a company that we were going to create. And we developed an amazing group of investors together, and he really started to hone in his focus on short sales. And I was still developing relationships with other business owners, real estate investors, but I always came back to Matt being our key investor for short sales and that strategy because of his attention to detail. And so
There's got to be somebody like that in your team.
There does.
You wouldn't hire me to be that person.
and I'm not that person.
Yeah, I
and
understand.
I'm not that person. And nor do I want to develop those skills, because I just know the amount of time and effort it would take to become as good as Matt in that. I don't have the time for that. I couldn't. And so when Matt showed me what he was doing with his short sale business, I realized I need to align myself with this individual. And I choose to follow him as our CEO of the Real Alliance every single day, because he has the vision, the expertise, and the ability to take the concepts of community relationships to a whole nother level. And that's how we put together the Real Alliance.
Yeah. When you couple that with his ability to keep it high level and bring in great team members and figure out who are the right team members, it really is an awesome partnership, along with our other partner, Eric.
You know what I like about this and the changes, and when we have people on our show, it is about partnerships. You know, I've talked about this several times. Yeah. I don't understand why people feel like they have to do everything on their own. Now, I'm the type of person that I like to know as much as I can about stuff, but I've learned over the years that boy, there are people who are better at social media than I am. Sure. There are people that are better than dealing with sponsors than I am, you know, and there are a few things that I have a little bit of a gift. Sure. So why do you think it is, Ron, that people have, Rob, that people have such a problem with that?
Lack of trust. I think that people that are producers that know that they can get a result from themselves, they have a hard time sourcing other individuals they can trust. And it's interesting, in the real estate market, you find someone who's got the abilities, the skills that you want on your team, they tend to become eventual competition. You know, Matt always says he doesn't want to be the bottleneck. He wants to know enough about our business so he can source the right people. But you got to have a few. I mean, it's lack of trust. You know, they're afraid of opening up their business model to someone else and create a potential competition. Well, and
like our life is run by cliches. If you want to get it done, you got to do it yourself, right? We all have heard that, and we're ran by those things. What Rob taught me was that the greatest asset that I have is not my cash. It's not even my properties. It's the people around me. And that was huge when he kind of drilled that into my head. And I wanted to be one of the guys that controlled everything and did it all myself. But he kept saying, Matt, trust me. And I watched him build a group of investors out in Arizona that did 300 flips. I watched him put together a team of people doing multifamily. And as I watched him put these teams together, I thought, he's got something figured out that I need to adapt. And so together, we put those skill sets together. And it's pretty fun when we now take it into the education world and bring that to people.
Rob, let me ask you this. A guy comes in, and the last couple of weeks we've kind of focused on some of the letters that I get during the week from people. Right. And a lot of it is excuses. I get a lot of that. But there are a lot of people who are kind of down. Life has hit them kind of hard. They've gone through divorce. They've gone through bankruptcies. Somebody who comes in like that, who really is, life has been rough on them. Right. What would you say to somebody about that who wanted to get into this business?
Well, most people that have gone through those experiences, there's a lack of trust in themselves. They internalize all these hardships that have taken place. And so for us, it's to show them, Matt always says, believe in them until they believe in themselves. And then once they believe in themselves, help them assist others. And so that's kind of what we do.
Good.
We assist them in, okay, they see something in me that I may have lost or I haven't yet seen in myself, so I'm going to trust them. And then when they start to realize some of the results associated with that trust, then they pay it forward. And that creates this unique synergy of belief in themselves, which then obviously goes to results.
And even when you talk about this trust, it's still amazing to me that we talk about, if you want to be successful, follow what successful people are doing. Yeah. So you see somebody who's successful in this, you guys are successful in this, you're teaching people how to be successful in this, but still it's like people can't, they can't get over that hump. What would you say?
Well, and Matt's done that for me in a lot of areas of my business. It is, I trust his leadership. I know that he wants me to succeed. Real Alliance, we've cultivated an environment where we celebrate success. And some of our investors, they're doing more in their self-employed real estate investing business than we did in ours. And they're doing it in a shorter period of time, and we celebrate that. We're not afraid of individuals succeeding.
You really want somebody to do better than yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You want your kid to do better than yourself.
We've done our job.
So what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. It's a great way to live your life.
And you can enjoy it. You can celebrate it. And the fact is, when they know that you're not going to hold them back, then they come around, and you can retain a lot of your community members and real estate investors in your relationships when they know you're not there to restrict. You're there to expand their business and help be more successful. And it takes a little bit of willingness to let go and to enjoy what you've created. But if you can do that and know that as long as you bring value and they can perceive that value and they want it, they're always going to be around to assist you in your business as well. And that's Matt's philosophy, and I follow it.
Yeah, we're believers. Most other educators out there are trying to make you dependent on them because they know that's how they make more money.
Right.
We want to make you independent of us because we believe that will foster the growth of our company.
I love that. And the reason I wanted to have you guys on the show and to focus more on your philosophies and why I asked the questions that I did. You know, we talk about the teaching and training week after week, but I wanted people to hear kind of your heart, where you were coming from, because these are the type of people that you want to be. I'll tell our audience, these are the type of people that you want to listen to and learn from. And I appreciate you guys sharing that. It's a great story, and I think it's impressive. I know I'm impressed by it, and I hope our listeners understand that and see that too. Again, guys, we got to go. Well, thanks for being here. Rob, great pleasure to meet you. As always, Matt.
Thanks, Robert.
Hope you guys could see what I could see in that, and I'm thankful that they were here. Welcome, or thanks again, guys. Don't go anywhere though. We'll be right back.
The SIRE TV program, brought to you in part by New Western, America's #1 source for investment properties. The Real Alliance, leading individuals to success through real estate investing.
Well, guys, that wraps up another edition of SIRE TV program. I hope you enjoyed it. Time flies by. This has been one of my favorite shows. And the reason it is normally we get into, you know, kind of the details and descriptions of different ways to make money in real estate. We had two guests on here that are on our show very frequently. Kurt Carlton from Sherman Bridge, he's kind of our spokesperson for our hard money lenders across the country. And Matthew Elmer, who's with the Real Alliance. They have these teaching and training programs that we very highly recommend. And I love to have him on the show. We had his partner for the first time, Rob Miles. But instead of talking about the specifics and going into certain things that we normally do, I want you to hear how they got involved in this business and kind of their heart, where they're from. Because I think that if you're going to be involved with people who you're kind of counting on them to help you succeed, they ought to be the type of people that you want to be involved with. And I just wanted you to see where these guys were coming from. And again, I want to thank them for being on the show. I know that I've kind of been on a kick here for the last couple of weeks about this no excuses and, you know, you can do anything. Last week I talked about a gentleman who'd really been having a tough time, gone through a divorce, bankruptcy, lost everything, wondered if he could, you know, could he really come back from all of this, and could he do it in real estate? And, you know, I wanted to be a source of encouragement for people like that. And the real reason is man, I have been there. I have lived that. One day I'll tell you my story and you'll understand. So I have a heart for that. And then this week, got a lot of responses from people in regards to that. And one thing I do to kind of inspire myself, music does that for me. So I'll go on YouTube sometime and pull up some inspirational music, inspirational songs. And as I was going through YouTube, I found a couple of things I wanted to share with you. I want to give you some names, and I want you to tell me what you think these people have in common, because they're all people that are well known. Most of you will know who they are. Jim Carrey, Ben Franklin, David Letterman, Colonel Sanders from Kentucky Fried Chicken, Hilary Swank, William Shatner from Star Trek and one of my favorite shows of all time, Boston Legal, Dr. Phil, Drew Carey, Cary Grant. At one time, they were all homeless, and look how they changed their life and how they turned themselves around. You can do that too. I also found when I was going through this little search, Jim Valvano, who was a coach for North Carolina State, in 1983, won it all in basketball, heavily underdogs, and won. And he had written a book, or he had a saying about cut down the nets. He said every year he'd take his team, and for a practice they didn't pick up a ball or anything, they just cut down the nets on the basketball court, which is what you do after you win the big NCAA tournament. And he just wanted people to see that. He wanted his players to experience that. Sometimes it's a great thing to do, is just visualize it in your mind. Just go into a quiet place and think about what it's going to take for you to be successful. I promise you, I promise you can do it. I promise you that. And lastly, I want to share something. It's something I've kind of lived by. It's a song that a friend of mine wrote. Used to go to church with him. It's called Press On. And I just want to kind of read this to you very quickly. When the valley is deep, when the mountain is steep, when the body is weary, when we stumble and fall, when the choices are hard, when you're battered and scarred, when we've spent our resources, when we've given our all, press on. Forgetting all that is behind you, those failures, all those things that you want to think about, don't. Strive for what's in front of you. Press on to the mark of your high calling. We all have the right to that. We all have the right to succeed, and you can do it. No matter where you are, you can make it. If there's anything we can do, that's what this show is about. Go to our website, siretv.tv. Check it out. We're here to help. Continue to come and watch our program week after week. We're going to have great guests on, great entertainment, great informative information for you. You don't want to miss it. Until then, God bless and continued success. And lastly, I always say God bless and continued success. I want to add one thing. Press on. Don't give up. God bless.
Thank you for watching the SIRE TV program. For more information regarding the contents of this show, please visit our website at siretv.tv.